Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. Wow, YouTube
YouTube
Live,
Lab, where science meets sports.
Live, powered by Riverwind Casino. My name is Brandon Drumm. I'm here with Parker Thune, Spencer Forsythe on the board. The portal is open. The spring window is here. Jim Nagy is here. We're going to talk about that. Jaydn Ott's here, obviously. Um, Lots to talk about there. Rumors, all sorts of things. We're going to answer you guys' questions when it comes to that. We're going to talk basketball portal as well. We're going to talk. It's just a portal episode. That's what this is. It's all about the portal, wrapping up a little bit of the spring. Answer your question on some things moving forward as far as fall camp, potentially summer workouts. Excuse me. All of that right here on this episode of the YouTube Live. But first, we got to thank our sponsors.
And that starts with our presenting sponsor, Riverwind Casino, which has been the premier gaming destination in the OKC Metro for almost 2 decades. Nearly 3,000 electronic games, table games, so many bars and dining options, as well as the best live music in the vicinity. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Also, a shout out to our friends at Jaydn, which is the greatest team to ever clean and a proud partner of OU Athletics as well. They are delivering spotless results from stadiums to any size business across the country. You can check them out at jaydn.com for unbeatable commercial cleaning services. And finally, a word from Mando. Folks, if you struggle with BO, first off, the first step to dealing with a problem is admitting you have one. The second step is Mando, created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO is and how often it's being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It is clinically proven to block odor all day and control it for up to 72 hours. Clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. All products are baking soda free, paraben free, and you can really check out the full Mando line via the starter pack, which is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, two free products of your choice, like the bourbon leather mini body wash, which is a favorite of Brandon's and mine, as well as the deodorant wipes. And you get free shipping on top of it. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers are going to get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code INSIDER at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Go boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
So where do you want to start, Parker? Lots to talk about. I mean, are we
Let's start
very
with this. We have so much ground to cover that I want to give people this encouragement as well. If you have a question that you absolutely must have answered, look, the reality is we have so many of you that watch every single week that we can't guarantee that we get to every single one of your questions. However, the promise that we do make you is that if you send us a chat or you send us a question in super chat form, attach a monetary donation of any amount, we will answer your question. We will address your comment or opinion, whatever you want to type in that text box that comes attached to the super chat. We will read it and address it live on air. So, really easy way for us to interact with all of you guys in real time. The place to start, Brandon, is certainly with the Jaydn Ott situation.
right?
But first, we have our first super chat from Jacob Matthews, worth $5, and he asked, any
Appreciate
chance
you,
we go
buddy.
after Brian Urlacher's son from Notre Dame? I think it would be pretty cool if we got him and Jason Witten's son. Um, I don't think Kennedy Urlacher is going to be on the market for long. And he also plays a position where Oklahoma just doesn't really need anybody right now. So the short answer to your question, Jacob, is no. However, one position where Oklahoma needed somebody was on the interior offensive line. They got their answer yesterday in the form of Jake Michaela. That was very quickly buried in the news cycle, however, by the news that Jaydn Ott was coming to Oklahoma. Now, Michaela, when the spring portal window has come and passed, Brandon, will rank as one of the top interior offensive linemen that was available this spring. There's a very good chance, though, that Jaydn Ott could rank as the number one offensive player, period, that was available in the portal this spring.
Yeah. No, he's look 1,300 yards in 2023, almost 900 in 2022. He was injured majority of last year. I mean, you look at his resume, he's got an amazing one. There's a reason why it was such a big deal that he got in the portal. And yeah, last year he had 300 something yards. He struggled with the 100 plus carries that he had. Um, it, this you hate to say it's a game changer because I know you and I feel like the running back room's still really talented in Oklahoma, right? Like we think there's a lot of talent there. Um, but the depth issue, we talked about it on the instant reaction yesterday, like rapid reaction yesterday, where we said, look, you have Xavier Robinson, Gavin Sawchuk that you guys OU feels good about, right? Right now, those are the two OU feels good about going into the 2025 season. Now you've added Jaydn Ott to this, and now it's a three-man rotation, similar to what OU has had in years past. They've always had three really good running backs, two guys that are up in that almost 1,000-yard range, and then somebody that's dang near that 500, 600-yard range. And then they've always had that quarterback. They've always rushed for somewhere around 3,000, between 3,000, 4,000 yards in a season. And I think you can get back to that with Mateer. I think having Mateer, having the offensive line the way it is, it's going to make things better. Adding a Jaydn Ott, you're going to relinquish some of the pressure off Mateer, off Sawchuk, off Xavier Robinson, and in turn, maybe a Javante Barnes if he can come back healthy, maybe a Taylor Tatum if he can get emotionally lined up the way he needs to be, moving in the season. Um, we also don't know what else is going to happen portal wise with running back as well. So things can happen that can change the dynamic of this whole depth chart, but they're deeper and they're super, super talented now. And that was a question mark, right? I don't think we expected them to add a running back of that caliber. We
But they
didn't.
did.
We thought they were going to add a depth piece. They just added a dog, is what they did.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
They added a guy that, if he rushed for 1,000 yards this year, it wouldn't shock you one bit. Wouldn't shock you one bit
No,
if he was in contention for an
no.
all-conference nod in the SEC at the end of the season. Now, he's got to have blockers up front. He's got to have the holes opened for him. And so we're going to have to see an improved Oklahoma offensive line, but they're going to be significantly healthier. They're going to be more talented. Again, there's a lot to get excited about with this Oklahoma offense, and there's even more so to get excited about with the addition of Jaydn Ott. To our next couple of super chats, Freddie Downing tossed us $2. Thanks, Freddie. And he asked, are we targeting the tight end from Ball State and Wisconsin? Tanner Koziel was a target for Oklahoma in the winter when he got in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
They did not end up grabbing his commitment in the portal. They did not end up acquiring his services. He went to Wisconsin instead, and things did not go too well for him at Wisconsin. Hence why he is in the portal just 4 months later. And you would think, right? You would think, oh, they wanted him the first time around. They'll want him the second time around. I'm not convinced that's true based on some of
Yeah.
the conversations I've had. Because with regard to what went wrong for Koziel at Wisconsin, the S word has been thrown around. The S word, of course, being soft. And Oklahoma does not need a soft tight end in the SEC. You cannot have a soft tight end in the SEC. And so while I would have thought, yeah, Tanner Koziel, I mean, shoot, why wouldn't OU go after a guy like that? Just knowing a little bit more of the behind the scenes with that whole deal and why he only lasted 4 months at Wisconsin, I don't think it will be as simple as, oh, Oklahoma just goes and recruits Tanner Koziel and calls it good at tight end. No, I think they'll want to explore options. Another guy that is in the portal that I would expect Oklahoma to get in contact with at the very least be Gavin Hoffman, redshirt freshman from Iowa, who was a guy that Joe John Finley and the OU staff loved out of high school. So maybe they kick the tires there. That's certainly within the realm of possibility. But I do get the sense that Oklahoma is going to evaluate some options at tight end before going full throttle on any one guy.
Agreed. It's going to be interesting to see how much they really put into pushing for a tight end, and I think that's going to be telling of how much the tight end's actually going to be used this year as well. You know what I mean? Like if they don't go push for a tight end in the portal, couldn't you probably surmise that they're probably not going to use a tight end as much as maybe they would like because of they're not comfortable with the depth or the talent that lays before it right now, like that's within that room. So it's something to grasp. I I don't know, man. Wide receiver is the other position I think you look at offensively where you're like, okay, do you add one? Do you add two? We know who they're pushing for right now.
Yep.
Um, kind of vaguely walk everybody through that if you want to.
Yeah, well, I feel like I can be pretty transparent at this point because we've kept OUinsider.com members apprised of all of the developments
Mm-hmm.
throughout the process today. But at this point, the guy that Oklahoma was targeting and has since pulled out of the race for is Illinois State transfer Xavier Lloyd. This morning, I was told, yep, he's a Sooner. He's a Sooner. Just got to sign the dotted line. Well, come to find out, there were some, or I should say, there was a budgetary crunch, if you will. It became apparent where it turned out that the price he wanted, that there were certain people at Oklahoma that were all the way on board with paying in that price, others not so much. And so there was a little bit of a discussion had there. Ultimately, they came to the decision that we're going to look for other more economical options, more economically conscious options at the position, and so we'll move on from Xavier Lloyd. So things looked good with Xavier Lloyd this morning. By late afternoon or early evening, they were pretty much dead. So at this point, I am not at all clear on who Oklahoma is going to zero in on next, but they're looking for an experienced guy. They're looking
Yeah.
for somebody that has caught a lot of passes at the collegiate level. Xavier Lloyd certainly fit that bill, 66 catches for 912 yards last year at Illinois State. But there'll be other experienced receivers that hit the portal. What'll be really interesting to see is what happens if Oklahoma decides to accommodate a 15th scholarship receiver on their roster, because right now they have 13. So do the math.
Mm-hmm.
A new portal addition would be 14. What if they want to take a second in the spring portal? If you're going to take a 15th scholarship receiver, I really like the idea, and evidently Emmett Jones does too, of bringing in a major high risk, high reward type of dude. Trajan Bridges, for instance. You
Yeah.
brought up Keon Brown. I was told that Jonte Cook has been discussed in the Switzer Center. Now, I don't think that's going to go anywhere, Brandon, but I'll be the first to
Oh,
say, like, it's if that were to happen, which again, I just, for so many reasons I don't think it would. If that were to happen, I genuinely wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't. If that's
oh,
the
man,
15th
come on
guy on
now.
your roster at wide receiver, and yeah, a guy like that, be it Jonte Cook or Keon Brown or whoever, like that guy, that type of guy is going to come cheap. If you're not making much of a financial investment and you really don't need anything from your 15th wide receiver on the roster, and he can only really exceed the expectations you have for him and the expectations that are placed upon him when he gets to town, that's a gamble I'm okay making. You know,
Yeah.
it's an entirely different conversation if that's the type of guy that you know you're going to have to rely on to take snaps for you this fall. But if your 15th wide receiver never plays it down, I mean, the odds are, right, your 15th wide receiver, if it's just some random dude, odds
Mhm.
are he's not going to play a snap anyway. I think
Yeah.
Oklahoma had, what, 12 scholarship receivers this past year, and even amidst the litany of injuries that they experienced, KJ Daniels never saw the field. He was the only scholarship wide receiver that never saw the field. So you would have to think, with everything that went on in Oklahoma's wide receiver room in 2024, if there was still one guy that never touched the field, there's a good chance that your 15th wide receiver on the roster is never going to have to touch the field. And so if he does, great. You got your money's worth, right?
I'm biased on this, so it's hard for me to like wrap my head around. But um, one, where's Hudson at right now? Like he's bounced around so much, I'm so confused on where he's even
So
at.
he went this past winter in the portal. He went from Tech to A&M, never participated in team activities at
So he
A&M,
can
and
still
is now
transfer
back
to
in the
another
portal.
SEC school. So yeah, since he never
Well, why? That's a good question. Could he? Because he was enrolled at the institution. Like he was.
did he go to class?
I believe. I just the
If he
thing
went to
was he
class,
was.
he can't go to an SEC school.
Yeah. So that's not one that I would count on.
Okay, so yeah, I would go with like, and I talked to people around Bridges today, like, and they're still of the opinion of hearing Oklahoma out, checking out because Trajan, like, if you talk to people close to Trajan, he wants to do Oklahoma. He wants redemption. Like in his mind, that's what he wants. People around him, as you know, Parker, are very skittish about that idea.
Yes.
And
And he
rightfully
also
so. Yeah, rightfully
and he
so.
has to get his eligibility reinstated. There's that.
Yes. Yeah, that too.
He doesn't have any right now.
Did that not get cleared up today? Because he tweeted out that, and I didn't ask, he tweeted out that he was in the portal. So,
Yeah, you can get in the portal without eligibility.
all right, Parker, you and I just need to throw our names out there and do that. Hey, that's a great question. Why not just throw
Open to
Jacoby?
any and all opportunities.
Why not just, if you're going to go after a cornerback in the portal, why not just throw Jacoby Johnson at wide receiver and say, you're focusing on that and you're going to be a receiver? That's where you're at now. Because you and I know he'll contribute.
I think
I don't
the
think it's a question he would
well,
contribute.
yeah, I think the reason why not is you can't spare him from that cornerback room right now.
Like I said, if you're going to go get portal guys and you feel like you can get somebody that can come in and help, why not do it? If you're that hard up on Cortland Guillory and Malik Hawkins, and you know you got Gentry Williams, and you know you got Eli Bowen come back, there's four. If you're going to get a fifth guy, why not? They think Devon Jordan's going to be a really good player.
That's great.
That's
And
six.
that's the expectation I have too. But like what you're doing at that point
I understand
is
what you're doing.
well, let's just say let's take a look at the theoretical top six there. It's Gentry Williams, it's Eli Bowen, it's a portal guy, it's Malik Hawkins, Cortland Guillory, and Davon Jordan. Half of that group, three of the six, have never played starters snaps or any
That's
snaps in
fair.
some
No,
cases in
I
the
get it.
SEC. And so like I think cornerback is one of those positions where you can't really mess around. Like you
I
have to have
agree, but
more depth than you feel like you need.
I agree with that. I agree. But, and yes, I know people are saying, isn't Jacoby Johnson's family kind of pissed off about the flip? They are pissed off about the flip flop. They were pissed off that he would practice. He would practice wide receiver all week and then get thrown in on the defense. That's what they were pissed off about. So like that was the issue last year. Look, I understand what you're saying and I agree with what you're saying. That said, he is a all-American talent at wide receiver, like legitimately an all-American. And I'm not saying he's not at corner because I think you still talk to people to this day. They say once he gets this whole thing down, and if he can solely focus and get his confidence back at corner, he's going to be a stud. Like we heard that all spring. He had a good spring, but I still go back to last year's wide receiver, and everybody says, yeah, wide receivers are a dime in a dozen. Are they, though? Are they? Because I watched last year, and if that was a dime in a dozen, then dimes have lost a lot of their currency because they were not very good. Is that not fair? Like, if if you're trying to play the penny pinching game at wide receiver, then like I said at offensive line, if you're trying to play the, and that was before they got Michaela, just move Jake Taylor inside. Like, just move Jacoby Johnson over and call it good and say, we're not moving you back ever again. You're just a receiver. If you're penny pinching, just do it.
Here's a fun one from the chat. Safety position needs help too. No, it doesn't.
What?
No, it doesn't.
That safety room is like 8 deep. And like 8 deep with dudes. Let's break it down for him, Parker. Let's just break it down for him.
Let's start with the two expected starters in Peyton Bowen and Robert Spears-Jennings.
Correct. However, I talked to you on the phone about it today. Jaydn Hardy, if Peyton Bowen doesn't come back and be the Peyton Bowen that we all know he is, Jaydn Hardy has been so freaking good. Like, and Parker can vouch for this. He has been so good this spring that they are so confident in what he can be that they feel good about a Jaydn Hardy, Robert Spears-Jennings starting at safety. But just the fact of the matter that your first four at safety are Robert Spears-Jennings, Peyton Bowen, Jaydn Hardy, Michael Boganowski. Oh, and don't forget the guy that flip-flops from cheetah to safety, Reggie Powers, is still there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 5 absolute dudes that can play there, and you have some freshmen back there. Amarian Robinson, right? Marcus Wimberly, that can flat play as well, that they think are just going to be superstars by the end of their careers. So they're so loaded at safety. There's no reason to add anybody. Zero reason.
We got $100 super chat.
Oh my gosh, Jonna May, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonna May. Got to meet her at the spring
You're awesome.
game.
Yeah, she's
this
amazing.
Past weekend. Awesome lady.
She was always at our tailgates. She's amazing.
And we greatly appreciate your contribution. He says, or she says, excuse me, remember, BV says you recruit your problems.
She's right.
That is true. And that's why, again, going back to the whole...
Hi, Tennessee.
Yeah. Correct. Going back to the whole reclamation project is your final wide receiver. That's why I lean in the direction of something like that not happening.
Yeah.
Although it would be a really cool redemption story if you were to extend a warm Christian blanket to a guy like that, and then he turns out to be a stud, right? But if you're going to bring a guy like that in, it has to be made very clear to said player that one mistake, no matter how small, and you are history, because we're not going to deal with that headache. And I would imagine at this point, there's going to be a shorter fuse anyway after what the program just had to deal with in Devon Mitchell's case, because they gave that dude a zillion second chances and he still walked out the door. So,
yeah. That's fair. I don't even know what to even say to that, because he was a problem when you never thought there was going to be one. Like, if you knew Devon Mitchell in high school, nobody saw that coming. Not the guy that we covered at all. Not the guy that Joe John recruited.
And that's recruiting for you.
Yep.
That's just the nature of the beast, man. There are always those guys that you look back upon years later and you're wondering for one reason or another, and they're not always cases like Devon Mitchell, right, where the kid just wouldn't get out of his own way. But always those guys where for one reason or another they don't work out at the next level, and you just find yourself asking, how, man? How did that kid not crack it? How did that kid not morph into a star? Evaluation is a tough game.
Has he landed anywhere yet?
No, he's only been in the portal since late this afternoon. But that's why evaluation is so tough, man, is because not only do you have to evaluate who they are as a football player, but you also got to be prepared for whoever they may turn out to be as a person. And you may see some things once they get on campus, once they grow up, if you will, because, I mean, you're recruiting adolescents
Right.
By the time they get on campus, I mean, that's the mark of adulthood, right? Is going to
Mhm.
college. That's kind of where the unofficial transition occurs, and people change during those years. I certainly wasn't the same person at 20 years old that I was at 16, and so you never do know with certainty what you're getting yourself into with these young men. You
Mhm.
just you hope you know. You hope you know. You read the situation as best you can, and you hope that your read holds true.
Yeah, and one more thing on the safety, like OU lost Michael Patterson McDonald to the portal. Obviously, he's got some Division One teams after him, and I wrote about this on OU Insider VIP. And I was talking, it kind of goes in line with what you're talking about there with recruiting, right? Like you never know what you're going to get. There were some that thought that Michael Patterson would struggle at Oklahoma because of his size, and he ended up getting bigger much faster than they thought. There were some that thought he would struggle with the physicality at times, and he got way better. So, like, it ended up being got to the point where OU did not want him to go. Like, they were actively trying to get him to stay because they think he has a chance to be a very good player for them. And I talked to a source again today that said, look, that dude is going to end up being an all conference guy somewhere because he's that good. It was super unfortunate they left. He jumped before he got hurt. He got a concussion this spring. He jumped up to number two, Parker. Number two, spin down safety. Number two. Like, that's where he was at. He was second string. He's playing with the twos. Like, that's crazy. Like, and nobody saw that coming. He just improved and got better and focused. And that's kind of the thing you're talking about. You never know what you're going to get. Um, the other thing is on the Bridges thing, it was brought up, and I know it's not a super chat, but it was a really good point by Damon. Bob gave Joe Mixon a second chance. Bridges get another second. I mean, it's similar. They could do the exact same thing. If they were to bring him in, they don't have to let him talk to the media until they go to the playoffs when it's mandatory. It's not a distraction then, right? And I'm not. I think that's wrong. I think you should just get it over with, and the media should have access to it. Obviously, we're biased media wise, right? Like that's how we
Yeah.
think, but they could play it that way.
Our,
There's a precedent that's been set.
our next super chat comes from Freddie, who threw us $5 and asked, "Is Jayden Gibson's possible departure a mutual thing?" We're not going to discuss that. We're not going to discuss possible or potential portal departures until or unless said player actually enters the portal.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Knew we were going to get that message. Jayden Gibson's the
Yep.
reason Gundy got fired.
No comprende.
What's done is done,
No
folks.
speaks
That
English.
is that is 2.5 years behind us, almost three.
And the Bridges isn't the same town as Mixon. Like, okay, that's fair. Like Joe Mixon is like he's like generational running back talent. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Um,
Um,
go
one
ahead.
other thing I'll mention before we transition here, because I do want to throw one thing at you that you'll probably be better equipped to address than me. But one position that's not getting talked about a whole heck of a lot right now for
Mhm.
Oklahoma that they are going to try to upgrade at in the portal is kicker. They want to bring in another kicker. They are short of the roster limit right now.
Mhm.
And so I was told today that they're preparing for the cut down to 105. They're at 103 right now. So they have a couple spots to play with. They don't want to get rid of Austin Welch or Liam Evans, but they are in a place where they would like to bring in a third kicker to compete for that job. So that will be one thing to watch. Mason Shipley at Texas State is a guy they like, but Mason Shipley at Texas State is also a guy that everybody likes. So keep an eye out in that regard. I would imagine that Oklahoma will have at least a couple guys that they kick the tires with, maybe set visits with. But we got a chat from Kyle Whitson, and he asked regarding Jaydn O'Neal, is BV still strict on taking visits while committed? Is Jaydn still committed to OU? Yes, he is,
Yeah.
but the reality, Brandon, it got dragged back into the news cycle today because he officially set the official visit with Florida State. But there you go, Jaydn O'Neal is officially visiting Florida State in the month of
Yeah.
June. So you have another OV on the schedule.
Yeah. And that, look, he's still committed to OU. And I've asked people around him, like, are you guys decommitting? No, they don't plan on decommitting. Now, that doesn't mean the plan doesn't change. I think they're speaking present day. They don't plan on decommitting. As a matter of fact, they had a good time at Oklahoma. The visit went well. Um, they spent the whole day with Arbuckle. Uh, they got to watch a lot, sit in the quarterback. They said, and I even say, like, somebody around Jaydn said, look, like the unorganization that they felt may have been an issue under the previous staff on the offense is gone. They said that offense is going to be good, good, good. They can see it, they understand it. And even with some of the back and forth and some of the miscommunication and some of the communication problems that are taking place between the sides there, they were still bluntly honest and said that Arbuckle is an amazing coach. He knows how to coach quarterbacks. He knows how to coach offense. They want to be Sooners. Now, they're still struggling with the idea of a Bo Bentley or whoever, because it does seem like maybe that's Arbuckle's guy in their mind. Like in from an outsider's perspective, even from their perspective, yes, that is probably how you're going to read that. And it's fair from their perspective. I think OU even acknowledges that a little bit. Like, I get it, but they still want Jaydn O'Neal. So much so that Jaydn O'Neal's holding a throwing session on the 28th of April. I will be at, because he's using the same quarterback trainer that Mahomes, and we go down and use the same guy. He's coming up and actually running that throwing session for Georgia, Arizona, Florida State, Oklahoma, and who was the fifth one? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Did you say
Anyway,
Auburn?
Auburn. That's the fifth one. Yeah, Auburn. So those guys are going to do that, and Jeff Christensen's coming up to run that supposedly right now. So if that takes place, I will be there and get to watch that. It'll be held here at Mustang, and Arbuckle's going to be there. As a matter of fact, Oklahoma, Arbuckle's going twice to see Jaydn O'Neal this spring. He's getting both visits in, and will probably be his first stop to show the priority that Jaydn O'Neal is. So that's where things stand. As far as the Venables and the visits, I think because the situation changed where he was the only quarterback, and then they went and offered Bo Bentley when Arbuckle got hired, that they're being a little bit more lenient in letting him figure it out. They're taking his commitment. They want him to be committed, but they're a little bit more lenient there with Jaydn O'Neal because of that. So that's where that stands.
Let's circle back around to Daryl's super chat. Apologies for missing your super chat, Daryl. Did not
Yes.
mean for that to get lost in the shuffle, but it did. He asked, how do we feel about the offensive line with the recent addition? Is OU looking to add to that room? And frankly, I think you can afford a subtraction more than you feel like you need an addition at this point. Oklahoma's really, really deep on the offensive line. Really deep. You think about the tackles for a second. You have Jacob Sexton that projects as your starting left tackle. You have Logan Howland and Michael Fasusi to back him up. On the right side, it looks like Derek Simmons is going to be the guy for now. But I would expect that a healthy Isaiah Autry-Dent will put some heat on his heels. You have Jake Taylor in the mix, who's been primarily playing that position for the last couple of years. And then when you move inside, Brandon, you now have Michaela to compete with Troy Everett for
Yeah.
that starting center job. And at guard, man, it's a wealth of talented dudes. Some of whom are inexperienced, perhaps. But if we just consider what that lineup might look like, you feel good about Fabechi. We were at right guard. Feel like that's his spot. At
Hmm.
left guard, is it Eddie Pierre-Louis? Is it Heath Ozida? Is it maybe Michaela? Ryan Foje is a guy that's ahead of schedule. Daniel Akinkunmi has demonstrated a lot of promise. You have options on top of options on top of options.
Yep. It is the offensive line's a lot better shape than it was last year. Like uh, from the depth perspective, and that was the issue last year, is the second those four guys went down, it just went to crap. Right? Like they're just in there wasn't you didn't have the leadership. I think Troy Everett is so underrated as far as his leadership goes and what he provides that offensive line, because that's essentially that's why they moved Sexton to guard, to help the youthful centers make the calls. And not a lot of people know that. Like, they did not want him to move to guard. They wanted him to stay at tackle. He had to, because to communicate from the left side all the way to the right side is almost impossible. But if you get the center to be able to say, okay, or you can sit there and tell the center, and then they can tell the right guard and the left and the right tackle, this is what it is. And then he can tell the left tackle, this is what it is. The communication's better, but it still is not the same as having an Everett and a Sexton out there at the same time. And that was horribly missing last year. Like we talked about it, Parker, like we saw the leadership that Everett provides. What he did with Fasusi at a practice that we saw at spring was magnificent. And then you hear it from other offensive line people. Like Troy Everett is the ultimate leader. Fasusi's come out there in interviews and said it. Foje said it. Anybody you talk to as far as offensive line, they've all come out and told the media Troy Everett is the best leader that they possibly could have, along with Jacob Sexton. So this offensive line is in so much better shape. Sexton's playing at a level that he was supposed to be playing last year, but he just could not stay healthy. And he's a lot more flexible, doing all the what's it called, the hot yoga that he's doing and all that type of stuff for flexibility. That the draft, the scouts told him, if you can get back to your pre-injury flexibility, and that was 2023 when they did not bring Tyler Guyton back because he was playing so good at left tackle, that they think he can be a day two guy. So that's where he's at. He's gotten so much better. If he can stay healthy, you have Fasusi backing him up right now, which is just a huge upgrade. You've got Logan Howland on the right side. You got Derek Simmons. Like you said, like this offensive line is just so much better shape. It could struggle, maybe, but I don't think it's going to struggle like last year. Do you, Parker?
No, no. It's
No.
going to be really hard for so many reasons for the Oklahoma offensive line to struggle like they did last year or anything remotely close to it. There's a lot of talk about Branson Hickman going on right now in the chat. Branson Hickman is no longer with the program.
Yeah.
Branson Hickman exhausted his eligibility. He's out of here. So there is no Branson Hickman. Somebody also said the guy from Stanford is undersized. I don't know what's undersized about a guy that's 6'5" and 295 pounds.
He's a little, yeah, I guess under 300 as a tackle is a little bit.
Michael is not a tackle though.
Oh, I thought they were talking about Luke Beklinka. How big is Luke Beklinka?
I don't know how big Beklenko is offhand.
Beklinko, that's what I meant. I think he is. I think that may be what they're talking about. Maybe is that not who they're talking about?
No, they were talking about Michael.
Okay, well then I misunderstood.
Yeah,
Them.
6'5", 295. You're fine. Schmidt will have him up to 305 come the season.
I guess he's 300. That's still
That'll
kind of light, but yeah, go ahead.
That'll work. You don't need to be a fat boy at center.
Yep.
I mean,
But
heck,
we lost Spencer Brown.
Troy Everett is. You remember when Troy Everett down the stretch in 2023 was playing for Oklahoma at like 284 pounds or
Yeah,
something
he
like
was
that?
light.
He's like
knee.
6'2",
Yeah.
6'3".
Yep. Yeah, he was very, very light. Somebody joked in the chat, but but we lost Spencer Brown. Parker's favorite player.
10 years from now, that's going to be a really fun one to throw into one of those name a random Sooner threads.
There's going to be a lot of those because of the transfer portal. I mean, it's yeah.
LV Bunkley Shelton. That's a good one.
Yeah, but he actually he like did a couple of punt returns and stuff for OU. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
he was
Trey
random.
Bradford.
And then, but he left and went back to LSU. His dad is like a diehard OU fan. Like I got to think he was on 24/7 when we were with them. So anyways. Um Basketball. There's a couple of people talking about basketball in there. Do we want to touch on how awesome Porter Moser's been in the
It's
portal?
been a fantastic offseason for them. A
Goodness gracious.
fantastic offseason. I would just encourage everybody in that regard. If you're not subscribed at OUinsider.com, first off, why not? Because we have you covered to the max with intel on everything. Basketball portal, football portal, recruiting, softball, so much more. It's all there for you at OUinsider.com. It has been a very busy day on the site the last couple of days. Information on top of information. Our members will attest to it. We're on top of all of it for you. But Brody Lusk, who's our basketball guy, does an absolutely phenomenal job. I
Awesome.
mean, this guy knows stuff that's going on 3 or 4 days before anyone else does. And you will get to experience this if you join at OUinsider.com. People will be breaking news days after the fact that Brody has long kept our members apprised of. So
Yeah,
if you want to
pretty
know
awesome.
everything that's going on within the basketball program, that is the place to be. Tay Davis, Nigel Pack, Xavier Brown, the transfer additions for Oklahoma so far, and that's shaping up like a tournament team in the 25-26 season.
It is. I said on the podcast the other day, I asked a few people very, 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 very they're just in the basketball world, college basketball world. I said, what do you think about what Oklahoma's doing? Where is this roster at? And both Sweet 16, Sweet 16 roster, particularly if they can find somebody to back up Wiggy. If Muhammad Wiggy they can get just a serviceable backup behind Muhammad Wiggy. They said a Sweet 16 roster. That doesn't mean they're going to make it to the Sweet 16. They just think that that's the talent they have to be able to be that good and maybe even further. It's going to be interesting to see how they finish out this roster for Oklahoma. What do they have? 2 spots left, Parker, I believe. Maybe 3. Brody Lusk would have to. He would know more about that than we would. We leave all that to him, thank goodness. But yeah, it's a very, very, very good roster. Look, if you're an OU fan right now, you remember when the portal, like just, I guess, up until December, right? It felt like every time Oklahoma got in the portal, it was like, oh gosh, here they go. Like they're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. They land Mateer, boom. Now between basketball and football, it feels like everything that Oklahoma does is upstanding. It's awesome in the portal. And fans are very, very happy that they're spending money and not looking at, oh no, they're poor. Real quickly, Daryl Revels, thank you so much for the super chat. Ohio State stumbled against Michigan and went on to win the title. Should we really be concerned if OU takes a loss in week 2? Hearing a lot of people say that's a must win. Here's why it's a must win. It's a must win. And granted, with OU's schedule, they, I guess, reasonably could rebound and gain the respect nationally by beating said teams that are on their schedule, Ole Miss, all that. But the thing about it is Ole Miss, yeah, name, that's great, but they're replacing so many players that they're living off the last 3 or 4 years, more than they are what they are this year. Tennessee, they're living off what they've been the last 3 or 4 years more than what they probably are this year. And I think that's a fair assessment. You look at Alabama. Alabama isn't the old Alabama. Like they lost a first round draft pick at quarterback, one that played catch with OU, mind you, in Norman, but he still is a first round draft pick, or at least a day one, day two guy, right? So they're having to replace that with guys that have no experience, and Nick Saban, the GOAT, is not coaching them. So their schedule, I think LSU's the game that if you were to they come into Norman and you beat them, because I think they're going to be a playoff team, a team that can probably compete for a national championship with everything they have coming back and what they've added. I think you look at that, and yeah, that's one game you could, garner some confidence from, but it's a confidence thing. That week 2 game is a confidence thing. It's a confidence thing for OU, the program. It's a confidence thing for the fan base. It's a confidence thing for all those people that right now are looking at Oklahoma as a dark horse and saying, I think they may be a playoff team. That solidifies everybody's thoughts. And guess what? Perception is 9/10 of the law. It just is. So winning that game allows Oklahoma to have that perception, allows Oklahoma to be viewed as that team that can potentially go on and conquer some games that a lot of people have as a big question mark right now, like at Texas. Like everybody that Oklahoma has on their schedule, and you can thank your lucky stars, they're all replacing quarterbacks with inexperienced guys. Oklahoma's replacing a quarterback, but they're replacing a quarterback with a guy that had 5,000 all-purpose yards and 50 touchdowns last year. There's a huge difference in the same offense because it's the same offensive coordinator. So they're ahead of the game. That's why everybody's high on Oklahoma. But if you go and you lose that, Parker, now you look like, oh, here they go again. We thought they took that step, but they haven't. The roster says yes. The on-field play says no. Do you agree with what I said?
I do.
Just straight to the point. He does, people. There's no more. He's not going to add why. Just he does. All right.
I'll be honest. I didn't
I
fully
know it's
digest all
possession
of
is
what you
9/10
said
of the
because
law.
I've been.
Randy Harris. I was making I just said it. I understand his possession's 9/10 of the law, but in my rant that I was going on, I substituted the word possession with perception. Type A personality may bother you that I did it, but hey, I knew what I was saying. Anyways, Randy Harris is a very type A guy, by the way. You know who I'm talking about. Very, very type A guy. Love
I'll
him.
take your word for it.
Type A guy. Oh, he talks to us all the time on the Twitter stuff. That's the same Randy H. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure I do know.
Okay. Anyways, good guy. Anyways, yeah, Parker's internet apparently did go out.
Did it really?
No, it didn't. They just think you didn't hear anything that I said, and you just agreed.
I'll be honest. I didn't fully digest all of what you said because I was battling my camera here, but
Yep.
I trust that everything you said was on the money.
Fair enough. I agree. I think it was on the money. He's like, like that bothered Randy so bad. He's like, that's still not a saying. I know it's not. Anyways.
Hey, Jimmy Cat just brought up a good little detail in the chat. It was a really good spring for Taylor Wine. Really good spring.
It was fantastic. Yeah. He actually looks like a football player now.
Yeah, he does. He looks like a unit, man.
Yeah. It's crazy. I look, I still think like if you were like he's such a good athlete. I've watched him play basketball. Like he was a really, really good basketball player at you said Taylor Heim or Wine, by the way.
Wine. Taylor Wine.
Oh. I went Taylor Heim in my head.
Easy mistake
Bethany,
to make. Easy
Bethany,
mistake to make.
basketball player. Yeah. But hey, he's a badass basketball.
There,
Taylor
I'll tell you this,
Heim is
like
a
that.
badass basketball player.
Yeah, they're two big white dudes that both play defense.
Yes.
It has happened on multiple occasions where different reporters, never the same one, but like different reporters have asked Taylor Wine and or Taylor Heim a question that is intended for the other one, not realizing they're asking the wrong
That's
Taylor.
awesome. No,
So
I can tell the
very
difference when they're
easy
in
mistake to
person.
make.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Two white dudes, big white dudes that play defense. They both have little mustaches, like it's
Mhm.
they're very easy to get confused.
So people are asking, WTF is PJ doing? Talking about PJ Adebawara. Um, he was pretty awesome this spring. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, can
I mean, like, he was specifically brought up by Brent Venables as having a hell of a spring and being that guy.
can we just I know there are so many people that feel like they have to be hearing the five stars name every single day throughout spring and fall camp. Otherwise, he's not living up to expectations. But can we just temper things with PJ a little? Like the brutal reality of the situation, and maybe this is not what people want to hear, and that's fine. But like Oklahoma doesn't need PJ to be a monster in 2025. If he is, then great. But you have two rising seniors in R. Mason Thomas and Marvin Jones Jr. that are going to anchor the defensive end position.
Mm-hmm.
If PJ is a 2 or 3 sack guy for another year, but bides his time, improves, continues to improve, stays healthy, and makes the most of the opportunities he does get this year, there's no reason why he can't step into a full-time starting role in 2026 and emerge as a 10 sack type of dude.
No, that's right. Speaking of sack masters, there was a prediction put in for Jake Krell, the 2026 number 27 overall player in the country, defensive end. He is an absolute beast.
Yeah, fun player.
Oklahoma leads. That is a fact. Oklahoma leads. Like, and I know you guys always ask us why no crystal or future cast from us. Well, because if we put in a future cast, it bears a little bit more weight than somebody from Orange Bloods or whoever. They don't have to put up with the stuff that's said, right? If we were to miss. Official visits are about to start up. So just hold your horses. He does keep showing up to Oklahoma, though. That's the good thing all the time. So, yeah, Oklahoma's in a really good spot for him. They're in a great spot for KJ Ford still. Like, they have a chance to have two elite defensive ends in the 2026 class. It's just how are these official visits going to play out? That's what you have to worry about. State 5 Stinks says David Stone going to Michigan State.
Okay, look. Even if
Why?
David Stone did leave, why would he go to Michigan State?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm like. Why? Like maybe
Somebody would
Miami.
pay him a couple $1 million in the transfer portal, and it wouldn't be Michigan State.
BD, can you explain how OU looking at defensive tackle doesn't mean anything when it comes to D line development? Because BV has said it over, and I'm not saying I don't look. Could Oklahoma lose somebody in the portal, a defensive tackle? Sure. Have we heard buzz of that? Like substantial buzz, Parker. We have not heard substantial buzz yet, have we?
No, no, we have not.
We've heard buzz, but you hear buzz about every freaking player now. Like it just never, it's nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
So have we heard buzz about David Stone? Yeah. Have we heard buzz about Dominic Williams before? Yes. Have we heard buzz about We've heard buzz about Jaden Jackson, like Ohio State stuff, but like all of that stuff, you hear that stuff all the time.
Buzz is buzz, and in the
Yes,
social media era, there's more buzz than ever before.
correct. So, but as far as the development goes, I don't. I BV said it over and over and over. Every source that you talk to or that we talk to says it every time we talk to him about trenches and roster building with trenches. And it's, you can never have too many defensive tackles in the SEC. You can never have too many big body defensive tackles in the SEC. They say it all the time. And so that is where that stems from. That is where Oklahoma looking around, like the Levon Johnson, like that look, I talked to him. He hasn't even set up a visit yet. Oklahoma hasn't set a visit with him yet. I don't even know that it's gotten that far yet. So they're talking. He wants to visit OU, but Oklahoma also is looking to see who else pops on the portal to see where that goes. So we'll see where that goes. He would be a good get. He's a body. He's a good body. He's a body that's produced. And that's where things are at right now. And that's why in the SEC, you can never have too many. You just can't. Anyways. All right. I think that's going to do it. Parker's camera, it's tired of the live.
Yeah,
and
it's communicating that it's time to wrap it up, I think.
Yep. So we appreciate you guys coming on here. Nearly 500 people. I think at one point we got over 500 people on here. So thank you for being on here, watching this live with us. Off season, that's awesome numbers. It's amazing numbers in the off season. We do this job for you all and because of you all. So thank you guys so much. If you're a college student, if you're active duty, you have a .edu, doesn't matter what college you go to, doesn't matter. You have a .edu email and you have an active duty email and you're active duty military. Email us ouinsider@rivals.com. $11.95. You get OU Insider for a whole year. You get to talk to Parker and I every day for a whole year. You get to talk to thousands and thousands and thousands of OU fans every day for a whole year. You get to start your own threads. You get to ask your own questions. You get to communicate in an awesome community that's just fun for a whole year. $11. That's less than $1 a month. Again, .edu. You go to college and you have a .edu, or you're active duty military with an active duty military email. You email us at ouinsider@rivals.com. We send you a promo code. Bam. You get us for $11.95 for a whole year. Everybody else, $9.95 a month, $99.95 for the whole year. You get Brody Luss talking basketball portal. You get Parker and I talking football portal, football recruiting. You get the team notes that we have behind the scenes that I guarantee you there's nobody that had near the team notes that we had all spring. It's been amazing. And everybody can tell you that in the chat, they will tell you. In the comments, they will tell you it's been awesome on OU Insider as far as insider team notes. We have tried to make it worth your while. Jesse is amazing when it covers doing the interviews. Softball, he covers that better than anybody else. Like, we have it all covered: baseball, basketball, football, softball. OU Insider, you love OU sports, we're here for you. OUinsider.com, VIP, $9.95 a month, $99.95 for the whole year. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners YouTube Live, powered by Riverwind Casino. For Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drumm. You guys have a blessed day.